All right, guys, what's up? How are you? Welcome to the Betting Pros YouTube channel live stream for us here on a Sunday for week number 4 of the NFL. I'm Matt Perrault. I'm your host. How are you? Good to see you guys. I love the fact that we are rolling with you guys already. We got almost 100 people in here already. This is cool, guys. And every Sunday we're doing this, and I love the interaction. I love the fact you guys were already waiting, ready to go here. We do have our trusty Tim Russert whiteboard for player props. We got that going on today. I will break down and explain the picks you're going to see. I guess it's on this side, right, where you're going to see it rotating where some of my plays are. If you are a Daily Juice listener, you know the plays I gave out today. I'll explain why I went a little heavy here today on some of these games. But at the beginning, let me tell you about the big announcement that just came out. The NFL is moving the Patriots and the Chiefs to 7:05 Eastern Time Monday, tomorrow. We have a doubleheader in the NFL with the NFL going up against itself. This is kind of wild now. All right, so you've got the Packers and the Falcons game kicking off at 8:50 now. That game has been moved back, 8:50. Patriots on the road at Kansas City with Brian Hoyer as the starting quarterback for the Patriots. I wouldn't bet that game with your money. And that is, if you are a DFS player or if you want to play around and go kind of crazy with that, fine. But I wouldn't go near that game. I mean, you're talking about Brian Hoyer is not a bad quarterback, all right? The line was 6.5, 7 with Cam Newton. With Brian Hoyer at the quarterback spot, I'm guessing it's going to be 14, maybe 13.5. So you get a doubleheader, which people will like. I don't fully get why you don't stagger it like you do in week 1. Like, why wouldn't you push the Patriot game up a little bit and then pull that late game back a little bit so you're not going up against each other? I don't want to watch 2 games at once. And as one game comes down to conclusion, then you go ahead and play, you jump over to the other one. I mean, I don't know. That seems to be a little strange to me that the NFL has decided to do this, to go up against itself. And can the NFL do that? Of course, they're the NFL. I mean, they're going to own Monday night pretty much from, 6:30 until midnight. They're going to own the country. So you're going to have CBS with Monday Night Football for the first time forever, and then you're going to have a game with the Packers and the Packers and the Falcons that will be on ESPN. So, okay, I mean, I guess you get a primetime broadcast game, which that will be Romo and Jim Nantz calling that game, right? But no Cam Newton. I mean, the Patriots are going to get smoked. I mean, it's just a matter of how badly are they going to get smoked here. I'm not a very big fan of it. I think I'm still on the side this game should not be played. And, we can argue about that all we want, right? We can argue about whether the Patriots are going to have more positive tests. But look, this has just been my take for a while. If you have one positive test, you have to shut down for a week. And if it's been confirmed, and I'm guessing Cam's been tested more than once because that's what happened for the player with the Saints today, where he was tested once positive and then once negative. So the Lions and Saints game is on, in case you're curious. That game is going to be played. But if you have one positive test, this is what the Titans did. The Titans had one positive test and said, okay, that's a linebacker and coach. Don't worry about it. Put him in isolation and let's go play. And this morning you had 3 more players for the Titans test positive a week later. Okay, a week plus, really 8 days after that positive test came down before the Viking game for the Titans. One coach gets tested positive. They think they've isolated it, and then it's just like a domino effect. Every day there's new coaches and players and coaches and players, and they're all testing positive. So just because the Patriots don't have any other positive tests right now, that doesn't mean there's not going to be a positive test tomorrow. And so you're going to put the Patriots on a plane. You're going to fly them with suspected COVID-19 people, coaches and players potentially. Cam was in the facility, around his teammates, in the huddle, working with everybody, and he was positive for COVID-19. And so you're going to go to Kansas City, and those hotel workers, the bus drivers, the stadium workers, all the people who are going to be around the Patriots, you could say, well, wait a minute, the Vikings had no positive tests, Matt, so that's good. Well, maybe football's not as dangerous as we thought. That's awesome. Maybe the virus won't be transmitted as easily as we thought when it comes to playing football. And most epidemiologists said that, COVID-19 transfers really easily, so football is a petri dish. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe football is good on the field. It's the locker room that's the problem. It's the bus that's the problem. It's the hotel that's the problem, not the game itself. But you're still forcing the Patriots to travel across the country, and if one player tests positive while you're on that trip, the game is going to get shut down. So to me, I would much rather see that game get postponed. Let's rework the schedule a little bit. Let's figure out a way to get this thing in. I mean, the Patriots are probably going to lose that game anyway. Now they got no shot. Without Cam Newton, forget it. So, I mean, it's just a matter of, again, how many points will the Chiefs win that game by? And the Patriots are the, classic next guy up type of team. Belichick, do your job. So he's not going to be shying away from this by any means. But, I mean, it's a marquee football game, and to have it be played like this under this kind of craziness, I don't know. I'm a little scared, to be quite honest, that game's not going to actually go off. So it's scheduled now for Monday. We'll see what happens. We'll see how we go. But doubleheader for Monday. Yep, that's going to happen. Doubleheader for Monday. All right, so on the corner here, you're going to see some of the picks that I have made for the Daily Juice audience. Let me just run through some of the picks. I will then give you some of the player props, and then we'll go to questions, and I'll answer as much as you guys can come up with. So Jerry just said, first time here, great pick yesterday with Bama and Oklahoma in the first half. Yesterday, and so if some of you guys haven't heard the Daily Juice before, we make picks every single day for 15 minutes. And it's a fun podcast. It's been growing. I mean, we're literally like, every single week we're growing, by like a bunch every week, listeners. And I appreciate the guys who have been listening for a while and say, hey, this podcast is really entertaining and fun. Let's listen to it. So I've been playing first halves in college football a lot. And yesterday was, I think underdogs went something stupid like 23-7 yesterday. And so a lot of people got destroyed, like Oklahoma, Iowa State, for instance, or Tulsa's victory. Who else? Mississippi State losing. I mean, there's just some crazy games and crazy outcomes in college football yesterday. And so the way I avoided that was playing first halves. And I'm going to do that a lot in college football, where I don't want to screw with the third and fourth quarters. I don't want to play around with that. It's my same philosophy to totals this week. I'm not playing around with totals this week. Everyone is running and cashing tickets on overs, and eventually you're going to get burned. And that's what happened last week in college football yesterday, and I think this week could be an under week. And everyone's saying these numbers go higher and higher and higher, and then all of a sudden we're going to have like a 17-7 football game, and everyone's going to go, what the hell happened? So I'm avoiding totals today for that very reason. But I played first halves with Alabama, first half with Oklahoma, first half with BYU, and all three hit. If you played Oklahoma at 3.5, I played it at 4, so I got a push. But most of you guys, when you got up in the morning and went to go play that, the line had moved in our favor, and you got it at 3.5. So you cashed that first half ticket yesterday. So really, it's a 4-0 run on first halves. And somebody came back today and said, Matt, are you playing first halves in the NFL? Let me explain the difference. It's night and day. First halves in college versus first halves in the NFL, these lines are so sharp, I want no part of first halves in the NFL. You want that extra time in case you've gotten a bad break or a turnover. I mean, these lines are set over the course of an entire game, not one half. I don't like first halves in the NFL. I like first halves in college, okay? And we will keep on playing first halves on the college side. I'm not going to play first halves in the NFL because I just don't trust it. I think it's dangerous, and I'm concerned personally about getting just blitzed with first halves. So, no, I'm not playing first halves today. We're playing full game wagers, okay? So, I gave you a teaser bet on, I think it was Saturday morning's podcast, which is the Rams at 14 teased down to 8, and the Bucks from 6.5 or 7 teased down to 1. I still like that a lot. That's a teaser. We've gone 3-0 on our teasers. Some of you guys will remember, and like I've talked about this, the teaser bet has gone 3-0, but also 3-0 if you just parlayed it and did not against the spread. If you didn't tease it, you would have hit and made more money. I do it for insurance. I do it in case I've seen the game wrong, and if Washington suddenly plays a crazy game, or if they pull, some wacko fourth quarter or third quarter, they pull Lamar Jackson, and then there's a run and the final score is 10, it's 30-20 or something, and then we get burned because we laid 14. Well, that's the insurance I'm paying for at minus 140 with the 2-leg teaser. So, again, if you wonder, you say, Matt, you don't like parlaying, you don't like teasing, or you like teasing, but you don't like parlaying. Why are you doing this? again, this comes from, a lot of bookmakers I have talked to over the course of my, 6 years living here, 5-6 years in Vegas, where if there's one bet that the books would get rid of in the NFL, it's a 2-leg NFL teaser. Okay, they get destroyed on this, so I think it's worth paying the juice for the insurance, and it hits quite frequently. And at minus 140, you lay $100, you're winning 70. So it's not horrible, but it's not like, it's not plus money, and it's not, a 5-team parlay where you pay $10 and you're going to wind up winning 500 or something. I just don't play that. I don't recommend that. I don't think that's smart. I think folks who recommend you guys to parlay is a mistake. Again, parlaying every leg you add, it makes it more and more difficult to cash, and that's why the books give you the odds that they do, and it's why they publicize the crazy picks that they have where one guy hits, but 10,000 don't. And that's the 10,000 guys who don't hit on their parlays. Those are the guys that build the book. Okay, those are the guys that build the handle. Those are the guys that pay the bills for the sports books. Not the one guy who hits a $10 parlay for $500. Okay, not even a 2-leg, 3-leg parlay. I just don't do it. Okay, I do it for UFC fights only, and that's 2 fighters that are heavy odds, like minus 500, and I want to get a decent price, so I will parlay fighters together on a UFC card. But it's a 2-leg parlay, and that's all I do. That's a personal choice, and I know you guys love it and have a good time with it, but I've talked about it for a long time. I just don't recommend it, okay? I just don't recommend parlaying. I just don't think it's smart, and I think it's about bankroll management, slow and steady, finding our angles, going after 53%, trying to get over on the books with the juice, and just being consistent with our bankroll. 1 unit, flat wagering, whatever it might be, slow and steady, every day trying to get over on the books, because what we do is very hard, okay? Sports betting is very difficult. There's no quick fix. There's no I'm 75-1. There's no, come make millions with me. You'll quit your job. All the ridiculousness that's out there in the world, that's just not reality. Reality is we're laying 110 to their 100 every time. We are more committed every bet. We have worse odds on everything. Everything is shaded towards the book side. And when you realize that, okay, when you understand that this game is rigged, literally, for them to beat us, that what we're trying to do is get over on them, and we're trying to entertain ourselves and have a good time with it. So if we lose, we're not betting our mortgage payments, we're not betting our child support payments, we're not doing anything, right? We're not betting on anything that's going to get us in trouble. This is all for fun and entertainment, right? But when you realize that, that's where we start to go, and you slowly stack wins on wins and wins. So if it's a 1-unit day, you get 7 of those 1-unit days. That's what you want to build. You're trying to build the bankroll up to survive the downside, because the downside's coming, okay? Bad days are coming. You're going to lose. Just if you don't like losing, you can't handle, that's why sports gambling is so tough. The mental side of it, the losing side of it is so difficult, because if you aren't prepared for it, that's when things get really, it sucks for you, period, right? You aren't prepared for that losing streak where you lose 5 bets in a row and you think, oh my gosh, the world's ending. I just lost whatever amount of money. That's why it gets addicting. That's why it gets dangerous. That's why we always talk about problem gambling, and we want to keep you guys, entertaining yourselves, but not betting the amount of money that's going to get you in trouble. We all have our 1 unit. I have mine. You have yours. I always say, people say, well, what's a 1 unit? It's 5% of your bankroll. Okay, whatever your bankroll is, it's 5%. So $100, $5, right? To be simple, $100 should be a $5 wager, right? So that's your bankroll. $1,000, $50. Do the math, right? That's what I recommend. Not everyone does that, but if you're new to this game, that's how I recommend. That's where I think you should start. Okay, find out how much money you're comfortable losing, whatever that number is. Take 5%, and every time you bet, every bet you make, you have to be willing to commit that 5%. That's the important thing, because you're going to have to survive the downward, the downturn, the bad day, the destruction. Excuse me, because it's coming. It's just, if you think it's not, you're lying, and you're lying to yourself, and it's coming. It happens to me. Daily Juice audience, guys, you know what has happened to me in certain weeks where I've gone 11-28 or something around those lines, right? I've had those weeks. I've also had the weeks where I've gone, 20-7, right? So it in a lot of ways, that's where the 53% comes in. Billy Walters, the greatest sports gambler of all time, hit at 57%. Okay, that's if you have any, if you want to go ahead and look at numbers, who is the greatest of all time? Who's the GOAT, right? 57%. So don't listen to the morons who are telling you I'm hitting 80% and I'm going 70-0 and this is easy, pay me, whatever. We talked about buying picks last week. I told you why that was a bad idea. Don't buy picks, okay? Don't buy picks. Don't buy picks. Over and over again, don't buy picks. All right, so I'll tell you about the teaser, Rams-Bucks teaser, which I like. I have the Browns, and the Browns number is moving against us. Okay, I got it at 4.5 for the Browns against the Cowboys. That number is starting to turn a little bit. I think it's down to 3.5 at last look, if you guys want to give me an update. Did I say Ravens, not Rams teaser? Did I say wrong? I said Ravens, right? I said Ravens -8, right? Not Rams. I mean, if you want, here's the question with the Rams game, okay? And I've seen a Rams and Ravens teaser. I've seen the combination of the two. I have less confidence. I'm a little concerned about the Rams in that number, okay? That's just my personal take on it. I'm a little concerned about that Rams game. So, I mean, they've traveled to the East Coast twice. They're at home. I'm a little concerned about that Rams game. So, I'm going to get away from it. I didn't play it. And I know there's been a lot of people who said, okay, take Baltimore and Washington and take the Rams game and tease that as well. I'm trying to get an updated number on that. Let me pull up the updated number here for that game. Where we are for the Rams. Sorry, do this on live. Okay. The number is still 13.5, so it's still low, but it's still below 14. Giants stink, okay? The Giants are horrible. You can say Giants are awful, Giants on the road, whatever. I get it, but I'm just a little concerned. The Rams have played very well, and I'm concerned about them covering that number. And there are certain games today, okay, there's going to be a game or two today that you're going to go, how in the world did this happen? How did you do that? How did you lose? How did you not cover? I think the Rams-Giants game is one of those games that I'm concerned about. So I think the Ravens game, I'm more comfortable in the Ravens teaser. I'm not comfortable laying 14 points in the NFL to anybody, by the way, but I'm more comfortable teasing the Ravens down to 8 because the Ravens and the Washington Football Club, whatever the hell they're going to call themselves, that's a market fight, all right? That's a Harbaugh wanting to beat up on D.C. If you ever know anything about that market, about like the Orioles and the Nationals, they fight for that demographic inside that football fan, that sports fan. They fight in the D.C. metro area, Northern Virginia, Southern Maryland, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, they fight big time for all those sports fans. So that's why I feel a little more comfortable with the Ravens coming through and playing until the fourth quarter because they want to put a number up that really says, okay, Ron Rivera, you've had your fun now, but this is our town and get out of here. So that's why I'm more comfortable taking the Ravens over the Rams. Even with the Ravens on the road, I'm still more comfortable with the Ravens over the Rams there. But I know people are teasing the Rams and the Ravens. Everybody's going to play that. It's going to be very consistent public play. I don't hate it, but I'm just a little more concerned about that Rams-Giants game than most people are. But okay, so back to the Browns. I'm not done, Ryan. I'm not done player props yet. So sorry, we're 18 minutes in here, so I've not given you player props yet. That's coming, so hold on. So Browns plus 4.5 is what I played. I think the Browns are going to potentially win that game outright. I'm not big on the Cowboys. Lil Collins is out for the rest of the season. They've got issues in the offensive line. One of the player props I'll tell you about, I don't think Elliott runs the ball very well today, so we'll get to that here in a second without the offensive line being as healthy as it should. I think this is a big game for Cleveland's defensive line to get going, all that talent they've got on that defensive line. I'm not a very big Dak Prescott fan, haven't been for a long time. I think this is going to be a defensive problem for the Cowboys. I think they're going to have a defensive problem stopping this offense for the Browns. I think the Browns can win this game outright. And I think the Browns are going in there. I think they turn the corner offensively with Kevin Stefanski. And Baker's playing better. And Odell Beckham Jr., big game for him. Normally he torches the Cowboys, did with the Giants. And they go torch him now coming up here with that secondary. Not very good for Dallas. Browns plus 4.5, 3.5. I still like it. Over 3, I like the Browns. So 3.5, I like the Browns. 4.5 is where I got it. Texans are at home today, and this is the Vikings. All the money's coming on the Vikings. I don't really get it. They missed 2 days of practice. Their backs are against the wall. The Texans are at home. The Texans are 0-3 on the year, and you could go, they stink. Their schedule was stupid. I mean, without DeAndre Hopkins, I get it. Bill O'Brien's a dunce for trading him, but I still look at the Texans at home with fans in the stands and the Vikings on the road with 2 days of practice missed. Give me the Texans, minus 3.5. This steam, I don't get this steam on the Vikings. Do you buy that secondary? I don't for the Vikings. Do you buy the offense? I don't. I know there's injuries there for the Texans, and their defense has not been very good, but it's a must-win game. I mean, this is backs against the wall. Like, the Texans have to win this game. It's just a matter of how many points do they win by. And I know it's over 3, so it's not great, but 3.5, I'm comfortable laying the 3.5 with the Texans today to get a victory. I'm 3-0 picking Texans games. 3-0, but I've gone against them every time. This time I'm going with them. I'm going to ride the Texans here this week, hopefully get a win by 4 points or more. The 2 games that everyone's yelling at me about, that people don't like it, people don't like my Raider pick, and it's 3.5 now. All right, I bet it at 3. It's 3.5. So I would say wait. If you can wait a little bit and maybe get a 4 out of it, maybe get a 4.5 out of it, depending on how much money's going to pour in here. Everyone's saying, okay, they don't have their rookie in Henry Ruggs. Their offensive line's not as good as it should be because it's banged up, and I'll give you that. And the defense, they lost Arnett, their first-round pick from Ohio State, to a thumb injury. I get it. And the Buffalo Bills are coming in here riding a 3-game winning streak, red hot, putting up big numbers. Okay, fine. If you've heard the Daily Juice, if you've watched this live stream, Dan Harris and I's podcast, you know how I feel about the Buffalo Bills. I think it's fraudulent. I really do. I think it's fraudulent. They beat up on 2 very bad teams, and then they should have lost last week to the Rams in an epic choke job. The referees gave that game to the Buffalo Bills. They're going across the country, Allegiant Stadium, bad week here in Vegas for the Raiders, given the Darren Waller event that happened on Monday. A lot of pressure here on this Raider team to come out and play better. I think they essentially punted on that game against the Patriots. They rested a couple of guys they probably didn't need, and now they're back at home, and this is the game they want. This is the game they need to win. They got to win their home games. John Gruden has stressed that big time here. Big stress. So while I think Stephon Diggs has a big day, more on the player props here for that, they're not going to stop Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is going to go crazy, and I only have one player prop for Josh Jacobs to tell you about, but if you want to bet most of his player props, I don't have a problem with it. Okay, I don't really have a problem. I think Jacobs has a monster day. I think Darren Waller is going to be force-fed the football. I think the Raiders did a poor job of getting him involved with the Patriots game, and I think that was a mistake. I would have really gone after it. But again, Sean McDermott's not Bill Belichick, okay? And the defensive line for the Raiders is better than people think. And I think this is a team that it comes down to a field goal one way or the other. I took the 3. The Raiders can win the game outright, but at 3.5, I'm very comfortable grabbing it. I'm comfortable teasing it up. You want to tease that Raider game up with another side? I don't have a problem with that. You want to do a Ravens-Raiders teaser? Don't have a problem with that. But I think it's a field goal game one way or the other. And I do think that Josh Allen scores. I think it's going to be a little bit of a high-scoring game. I would probably play the over for that, but Derek Carr has played really well. 7 straight games without a pick. I don't think he throws a pick in this game, although he should have been picked off multiple times against the Patriots, but that didn't happen. That was a player prop we missed last week. That ball was fluttering like 8 times. It's like up in the air. Go get the ball. Patriots didn't do it, but I like the Raiders. Okay, the other really greasy pick that nobody likes, Eagles plus 7.5. All right. That number's climbing. You may get a better number. You may get 8 on the Eagles on Sunday Night Football tonight against the 49ers on the road. I just think this is a play with a number play for me. There are certain games I look at that everyone's going to run in and say, oh, the 49ers killed the Giants last week on the road. They're going to come home and destroy the Eagles. The Eagles are 0-2-1. You know, they don't have Deshaun Jackson. They don't have, any receivers to talk about. I think Miles Sanders has a big day, but I didn't like any of his prop numbers because they were pretty much right where I thought they would be, so I didn't see any real edge on Miles Sanders, but I think he runs the football a lot today. I think they're going to try to establish the line of scrimmage, and that Eagles defense has got to play better, and Carson Wentz has to have the best game of the year so far, and I'm going to bank on Carson Wentz doing that. I think the Niners win the game, but over a touchdown on Sunday night in prime time with Doug Peterson's job status being talked about and Carson Wentz knowing that Jalen Hurts might be playing soon if they keep going this way, I'll take the 7.5 for the Eagles. If you get 8 or better, even keep going. I mean, you wait if you want. The public may come flying in here all on the 49ers. I like the Eagles plus 7.5 to keep that game closer under a touchdown. They'll probably lose, but they'll keep that game close. So, and there could be a backdoor as well. There could be a backdoor possibility coming in here. Connor says, keep on hating the Bills. Yeah, I understand. I understand. Okay. Check my messages. Okay, Dan Harris wants me to check my messages here for how many people took the Bills in our contest. Let's see. So the 2 biggest picks Oh my gosh. In the DraftKings contest, Dan Harris and I are together in the DraftKings contest. We're 8-7 on our picks for that $1 million first place prize on DraftKings. So the Bills, 36.7% of the picks are on the Bills. Love it, of course. Regional bias. And the Ravens are number one at 44.5% to cover a 14-point line. That's how you know that the DraftKings contest is square. The way you know the DraftKings contest is full is people coming in. You will never, and I haven't checked the circuit contest, but I'll take a look at this. But you will rarely ever see people here in Vegas go heavy on a double-digit favorite, on a 2-touchdown favorite, no matter who it is. It's the NFL. It's the NFL. This is not college football. 14 points is a monster number. And you could say, well, they lost to the Chiefs last week. They're pissed off. Dwayne Haskins stinks. Okay, I get all those points. But I've seen it. We've seen it numerous times. We've seen teams lose at double-digit favorites outright in the NFL. It is professional football. They are paying their players too, right? They do have first-round picks on their team too. They do have a coach making millions too. So 14 points in a picks contest when you only get to pick 5 and every one of those picks is so vitally important? No, bad idea. Jaguars are at 34%. Really, against the Bengals? If I were to bet that game, I'd bet the Bengals. I would fade that pick. I like the Bengals -3. And then the Lions, that game is going to happen with the Saints' positive COVID test. That game is going to happen today. Lions at 26%. Lions are catching, 5.5? I haven't seen the latest number on the Lions against the Saints. But I can't hate on that pick just because I think the Lions are better than advertised. But that's interesting. Eagles are 8.5 now, Chris? My goodness gracious. Really? Woo! All right. 8.5. That stinks. Now I'm pissed off. I bet it at 7.5. 8.5. I like it even more. Wait. Again, just wait. Okay, wait on the Eagles. Wait to see what type of number you get. You get 9, you get double digits, you get 10. They have to win this game. I mean, the Eagles have to win. And again, I don't think they do, but I think in prime time, I think Carson Wentz is going to play his best game. You got Mullins on tape now. Yes, Kittle's playing, so maybe that's why people are jumping up and down about Kittle and saying, okay, watch out for George Kittle. He's going to rip apart that defense, which is possible. The tight ends have scored 4 touchdowns, I think it is. Eagles have given up 4 touchdowns to tight ends so far this year. It's a stat everyone's going to run around with. Again, I'm going to go against the masses here and go against what people think. And I fade the public as much as I can. And that's a very public play that the Eagles are going to wind up winning this game. So, I just think here we go. All right. Wow. Jeff just got the Eagles at +10. +10? That's a number? That's not you didn't buy a point? You didn't go. That's a book here in America? They got Eagles +10 right now? Holy crap. Okay. Dalton just said +9 at his book. FanDuel's got it at 9, I guess. Wow. That's interesting. Double digits okay, that's incredible, Jeff. Yeah, 10 points. You get double digits there. Again, I can be dead wrong, and I have been dead wrong, okay? So I'm not saying you bet more than 1 unit, okay? Just be perfectly clear. This is where flat wagering comes in. People have asked me this before about Matt, you really like that pick at all, so I went heavy and bet 5 units, and you lost. Yeah. Yeah. So just because you see me be enthusiastic about a pick or a number or a play, don't get all crazy. This is where it's discipline. This is what we want to teach you guys is discipline. If you like a play, you bet it. It doesn't matter how much you like it. I get DMs all the time from you guys, and you say, Matt, which of your 5 plays today do you like the best? And we have 7 plays going today in the NFL that you heard this morning on the Daily Juice. I've got 7 plays. Which one of the 7? No, I like them all the same because I bet it. You have to pass a threshold to me. If you pass the threshold that I like it, I bet it. It doesn't matter if I like it more or less than others. And I know that Eagles pick's a little bit greasy, and I'm like, ugh. I mean, I'm a little bit scared of it, but I'm looking at it going, this is a numbers play. And in the NFL, these numbers are set to where they are. Anytime you see a number and you think, oh, that's too easy, it probably is. Okay? And the books are laying you a trap for a reason. And these people aren't stupid, all right? The computers are smarter than me and you. Their algorithms are better than you and I's in our brain, okay? They are quicker, faster, and more intelligent, and they can put out more probabilities than we can factor in ourselves. So when you think it's too easy, it's never too easy, okay? That's the fun of this game. So that's why at 10, I really like the Eagles a lot. But again, be careful, okay? 1 unit. Just bet the same 1 unit or wait and bet that 1 unit. And that's what we want to do. Check that off. Click. Good. That cashed. Moving on to the next one, okay? If we lose, 1 unit, we lost. Shoot, that stinks. I really like that. We're moving on. Because if you know the daily juice, you guys have heard me talk about games that I don't like, the games I've been afraid of, and half the time, more than half the time, those are the games that are cashing. And games that I love, all of a sudden, watch the Bills beat the Raiders by 50, right? It's like, oh, Matt, I like the Raiders there at home. Good play there, guy. Nice job. That's what happens, okay? That's why the 1 unit bet consistently, the roller coaster ride. But if you're at 1 unit, you survive, okay? Every time. Same number, same wager, whatever that might be, right? And that's why it gets complicated when you hear people come in and say, I got a 50-unit play going on this game. Okay, pad your bankroll. Okay, these are all things that people do to get you excited, and then you hit it, and you're like, oh, this is amazing. I bet $500, and I won, and this is awesome. I doubled my money, and whatever. And then you lose 10 bets in a row. And you're like, what the hell happened? Sports gambling happened. That's what happened. That's why buying picks doesn't make any sense. Okay. All right. So let's get to the player props here. Okay. Our Tim Russert little board here. And let's start with DK Metcalf against this Dolphins secondary. So everyone's on the Dolphins today. I don't hate it. I don't hate the Dolphins. It's gone from 7 to 6 to 5. At home, the Dolphins against the Seattle defense that is god-awful. All right. But the Dolphins defense is also god-awful. And they've given up big passing numbers. Look what Stephon Diggs did to that team. DK Metcalf, on all of his prop bets, I would look at DK Metcalf here as a potential guy who's going to put up big numbers. So it's a yes at minus 125 to score a touchdown. I just need 1 red zone. I need 1 jump ball. I need 1 play for DK Metcalf with Seattle. That's going to be a really high-scoring game. So we're going DK Metcalf coming up here, right here, DK Metcalf to score a touchdown at minus 125. I feel pretty good about that. DK Metcalf, yes, to score a touchdown at minus 125 against that really, really bad team for the Dolphins defense. High-scoring game, could be crazy. Another play on that game, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick over 280 yards passing at minus 118. All right? I think that that's a real nice opportunity here for a big passing game for Ryan Fitzpatrick. So we have 2 props going on that, okay? So 2 props going. We're going Ryan Fitzpatrick over 280 and a half yards passing at minus 118. DK Metcalf touchdown, yes, at minus 125. All right? Those are 2 props for that one game. Now, let's talk about Josh Jacobs for a second because someone is asking me to talk about Josh Jacobs. I have Jacobs over 19 and a half receiving yards. I think the Raiders need to incorporate him a bunch in the passing game and in the screen game, all right? Because I think the Bills are going to try to get upfield. I think it's going to be a problem there. I think there's some issues that you got to be careful of. So to me, I'm watching this game going Josh Jacobs rushing totals. I don't mind betting the over there, but I tried to find what do I think is most likely to happen, and it's at minus 110. Josh Jacobs receiving yards over 19 and a half yards receiving. I think Josh Jacobs has a pretty nice day. Okay, I think running and passing, I think he has a pretty nice day. So to me, Jacobs over 19 and a half yards receiving, at minus 110, that's the safer play in my mind. Okay, the safer play. On the other side, so we have Metcalf, Fitzpatrick, either side of that game. And then we go with Josh Jacobs and Stephon Diggs over 4.5 receptions for Stephon Diggs at minus 140. He's a huge part of the offense. Arnett's injury is significant. I think you're going to see a lot of focus on the running attack and trying to make Josh Allen throw the football. I think that's going to be the defensive philosophy here, and Allen's been very good, but I think the Raiders are going to try to take away the run, and then Allen throws, and his favorite target, Stephon Diggs, over 4.5 receptions for Stephon Diggs. We're taking that at minus 140. A little heavy on the juice, but minus 140. So you've got DK Metcalf, yes, and Ryan Fitzpatrick over 280 yards receiving. We've got Stephon Diggs over 4.5 yards receiving, over 4.5 receptions, and Josh Jacobs over 19.5 yards receiving at minus 110. All right, so 2 other props. We told you about Zeke Elliott. Under 85.5 yards rushing for Ezekiel Elliott. I was talking to Dan Harris a little bit about his own projections and where he has Elliott. I don't think that this is going to be a key-in game. I think Dak Prescott's going to have to beat the Browns with throwing the football. I think the Browns feel good about their secondary. They feel good about the defensive line. I think they're going to stack the line and take away Elliott. 85 is a big number in my mind, and I think in particular as to how the Browns are going to key in on Elliott, we're going under 85.5 yards rushing for Zeke Elliott. And then one final one. So this is a big argument in the fantasy community as to what exactly Jonathan Taylor is going to look like here for this Colts team. Colts and the Bears. This is going to be interesting. Colts and the Bears. So you've got the number for Taylor, rushing and receiving yards at 95.5. I got this at DraftKings. 95.5 yards total, minus 112. Man, the Bears defense is good. This is going to be a tough game, I think, for Jonathan Taylor. I think they're going to key in on him, try to take him away, and say, Phillip Rivers beat us. Okay? And we've seen numbers be put up on that Bears defense already. Saw Matt Ryan do it and whatnot. I think throwing is much more likely than rushing against that Bears defense. Jonathan Taylor, rushing and receiving yards under 95.5 is where we're going with this. Under 95.5 for that. So that is where we're going for Jonathan Taylor. So just to recap, and we'll get to your questions here in just one second. Recapping the player props I like, and then I'll give you Dan Harris's player props here in a second. I like DK Metcalf, touchdown, yes, at minus 125. Zeke Elliott, under 85.5 yards rushing at minus 112. Stephon Diggs, over 4.5 yards receptions, or over 4.5 receptions at minus 140. Josh Jacobs, over 19.5 yards receiving at minus 110. Ryan Fitzpatrick, over 280.5 yards passing at minus 118. And Jonathan Taylor, rushing and receiving yards under 95.5 at minus 112. Those are my plays. Those are my 5 props that I like. Now, Dan Harris of Fantasy Pros and my co-host for our podcast every week here on YouTube and off of Betting Pros, his plays are Derek Carr, under 275.5 yards passing at minus 130 at DraftKings, and Marquise Brown of the Ravens, over 42.5 yards receiving at minus 137. I love the Marquise Brown prop. My thought on that is Marquise Brown did not play well against the Chiefs, and I think you're going to try to get him the football and get him heavily involved today if you're the Ravens. And we know what every defense is going to try to do, right? Stack the line, stop Lamar Jackson, stop the running game, the running attack for the Ravens, and that opens up that pass over the top. And really, up against everyone except that Chiefs team, we saw Lamar Jackson take a step forward as a passer, and he has not passed. He did not play well throwing the football against the Chiefs. So against Washington, I would expect him to bounce back. So Marquise Brown, over 42.5 yards receiving, and Derek Carr, under 275.5 yards passing at minus 130. I don't hate that either because I think Josh Jacobs is going to run the ball. So I think Jacobs is going to get force-fed. They're going to run a bunch of run plays for Jacobs. And look what the Rams did running the football last week against the Bills. So, yeah, I do like that a lot as well for Dan Harris's props here for us today. All right, let's talk about some of your yes, George, DeAndre Hopkins is active. Yes, okay. So that goes to our 2 other games we haven't talked about yet. Okay, so someone wants me to recap the plays for the games. Teaser, Ravens, Bucks, okay, down to 8.5 a point or 1. Browns plus 4.5. Texans minus 3.5. Raiders plus 3.5. Eagles plus 7.5. Cardinals minus 3. I hope that is there, okay? I hope that's there. I hope it hasn't moved. And, whoa, someone just said that Fitzpatrick is up to 289.5 already. That jumped 10 yards. Wow. I don't mind it, but that's probably 290 is probably the high. I wouldn't go higher than 290 there for Fitzpatrick. I got it at 280.5. That's some serious steam on Ryan Fitzpatrick over passing yards at minus 118. That's a lot of movement there. 280. I got 280.5. It's all the way up to it's all the way up to 290. Oh my gosh, that's high. Okay, that's the ceiling. I wouldn't go much higher than 290 for Fitzpatrick. But the Cardinals, DeAndre Hopkins is active. I looked for D-Hop props. I couldn't find it. Before we went on the air here 40 minutes ago, I couldn't find it. So, Wilson's at 289, not Fitzpatrick. Okay. Fitz is still, thanks, John. Fitz is still 280.5. Okay, good. I like Fitzpatrick. I don't mind Wilson at that high. I mean, Wilson's going to throw the football. Carson's playing. But, I mean, he's been banged up, so you wonder how much they're going to go after him, how much they're going to feed him. So, yeah. Okay. So discrepancies on books. Austin says his book is 289.5. John says his book is 280.5. That's a big difference right there, okay? So that's, hold on. Pause that for 1 second because I'm going to give you a point here in a second. Cardinals -3 with DeAndre Hopkins on the road. I faded Carolina last week. It burned me. I'm doing it again. I think the Panthers suck. So I'm going Cardinals -3. And then I took the Bucks at -7. I would rather 6.5. But if 6.5 is out there, I like the Bucks at 6.5 a lot. 7, I'll even play because there's a push potential there. But this is Herbert on the road. A couple of you guys have said Herbert's rushing 22.5 yards rushing is a good play. Don't hate that. Nope, don't hate that. But I just think he hasn't run as much because the team is nervous about him getting hurt. So they don't want him to run. Rookie quarterback on the road, tough defense. I'm concerned that Herbert won't be allowed to run as much as he should be running. And I think against the Chiefs, when he played and he ran around as much as he did, that was just a game plan that they didn't know what to do, really, right? I mean, that was, oh, crap, Tyrod Taylor can't play. Now Herbert, go and play. And that was just him playing instinctively. Now they're like, hey, kid, look, you're our future. We can't get you hurt. We can't have you blow out your throwing shoulder. We can't have you get a concussion. Like, be careful. We don't want you running the football. So that's why the Herbert props I haven't played since that first game, because I'm concerned about what they're going to let him do, frankly. And I don't think they want him playing. The idea was not to have him play this year, and now he's on the road against Tampa. It's a big mismatch to me. And they're back on the East Coast, early start time. I like the Bucs laying 7 there to win. I just think Tom Brady and company, it's a tough ask for Justin Herbert to go in there. Eckler's a good running back, but that defense is going to key in on him. No Mike Williams. It's going to be tough for that, I think, the Chargers to move the football. So, and on the other side, all those injuries on the defense side of the football for the Chargers catch up with you when you're playing against Mike Evans and Tom Brady. So I do like the Chargers. I do like the Cardinals. Bucks -7. So just real quick, Browns +4.5, Texans -3.5, Raiders +3.5, Eagles +7.5, Cardinals -3, Bucks -7 are the plays. The Hopkins injury is a mystery, so that one must be difficult to handicap. Yeah, Jacobs receiving is 18.5. Ooh, you got a better number than me. I got it at 19.5. Good job. That's a good job. What do you think of the Bears +3.5 at home? So, Jordan, welcome to the fight between Dan Harris and I about Indianapolis and the Bears. So, Dan stood on a table for the Colts -2.5. And so that's what we picked with our DraftKings plays. We took that. And let me go ahead and let me pull that real quick for our plays in the DraftKings so I can tell you guys where we are. He stood on the table. He thinks it's the Colts all day long. Bears +3.5. If I were to bet it, I'd be on the Bears. I didn't bet it, though. But I'd be on the Bears. I don't. Again, that's why I've got Jonathan Taylor rushing and receiving yards under 95.5 today. And I'm concerned about the offense. I'm concerned about Nick Foles is a much better quarterback than Trubisky. He is. Okay? Mitch sucks. Okay? That's why he's the third-string quarterback now. Third string. Second pick overall. Again, the rule. Never draft a quarterback from Duke or North Carolina. Ever again. Sorry, Danny Dimes. Never draft a quarterback in the top 5 from Duke or North Carolina. They're at that school for a reason. But I'm just not comfortable with that game. So Dan thinks it's Colts all day long. He is adamant. So we took the Colts in the DraftKings contest. Our picks in the DraftKings contest, Eagles +7.5, Cardinals -3.5. I got a better number. I got 3. Browns +4.5. It's now 3.5, so we got a better number there. Colts -2.5. It's now 3.5, so better number there. And Texans -3.5, same number that I bet. Those are our plays in the DraftKings. My plays in the Circa, for the Circa Million contest, which I'm 7 and 8 in, which is not great. Cardinals -3, Browns +5. I got a better number than I bet. I bet 4.5. We got 5 in the Circa. Texans -5. Got a much worse number. I got 3.5, and I bet 3.5. But I do think Texans win that game by more than a touchdown. Raiders +3. It's 3.5 where I bet it, so I got a better number. And then Eagles +6.5. I bet it at 7.5. We still bet it at 6.5 in the Circa. So there's some discrepancy there. 2 different contests, 2 different numbers, and frankly, I like our picks in the DraftKings better than I do our picks in the Circa, but we have a better record in the Circa at 8-7 versus 7-8 coming up for that. So Dan Harris says 15.5% are on the Colts, 15.5% are on the Bears in the DK contest, exactly even. All right. I mean, again, Dan likes the Colts a lot. So for those of you that say, what about the Bears at plus 3.5? Jordan's asking that question. And at home dogs. That's the thing about this week. It's about home dogs. What home dog's going to bark, okay? You got to find one because there's a bunch of them. And home dogs in the NFL, historically, teams at home catching points tend to do very well ATS. Just makes sense, right? You're at home, you're comfortable, they're coming to your place, they're traveling. And now with COVID protocols and all the stories this week and 3 games being affected by COVID-19, 1 getting pushed. Again, if you're joining the live stream late and you haven't heard the news, we're going to have a doubleheader tomorrow night. Falcons and the Packers game has been pushed back to 8:50 Eastern time. The Patriots and the Chiefs game will be played at 7 o'clock Eastern time in Kansas City. That's the first game on CBS. The Monday Night Football game will go off on ESPN like normal, just a bit later than normal. And amazingly enough, the NFL is going up against itself on a Monday night. Okay. Again, if the Patriots have one more positive test tomorrow morning, later today or tomorrow morning, the game will be postponed. So that game is fleeting at best. I wouldn't bet it. Okay. I'm just telling you right now, I wouldn't bet it. I don't think it's smart. You got to wait until right before kickoff to bet that thing, because I think that game is hanging on by a thread, and anybody, a player, a coach, anybody with the Patriots, or even the Chiefs really, because their backup quarterback, their practice squad player went in there. Their practice squad has COVID. Their practice squad quarterback has COVID. So any Chief player that tests positive today or tomorrow as well, that game will be postponed. I think it should be postponed anyway. I think it's a mistake to put the Patriots on a plane and fly them across the country and put them into a hotel. And you're putting the Patriots at risk big time, like the Titans did when they had the positive test on Saturday last week. And now 3 more players today, 8 days later, 3 more players popped positive for COVID-19 for the Titans, which means the Titans-Bills game for next week is very much up in the air. And that game might not be played next week after moving the schedule around. And just, can I just be real quick here on this? Isn't it weird that the NFL did not build in any type of contingency plans after scrapping the preseason, that they didn't do anything to allow this kind of like a shuffling board, that they acted like they could play 16 games in 17 weeks? They thought that was logical. Like, why wouldn't they didn't take advantage of the fact that there was no preseason to try to move things around and just have multiple bye weeks. Every team gets 2 bye weeks or 3 bye weeks or whatever it might be, anticipating this problem that they were going to have. It was just we just got so comfortable with everything. And now look what happens, right? The president's in the hospital. We just got comfortable, like, oh, COVID's gone, no big deal. All right, here we go. COVID is a big deal. And we got big problems right now with COVID-19. So I'm hoping that we wind up getting ourselves into a situation where, we can, with the new protocols, like Major League Baseball with the Cardinals and the Marlins, we had to go through this early in the year. And then as the year went on, baseball has done a good job. Pro Football Talk is reporting that multiple coaches are telling them that they believe that the league should stop and then bubble and play a 12-game schedule the rest of the way. That they should stop this week or stop next week, get everybody into a team hotel, get everybody into a bubble, and then play that way, which is really what should have happened to begin with. The NFL should have done this anyway, but the PA was so against it, and I understand. I've got a family. I get that, but it's annoying, okay? It's definitely annoying. It's definitely tough. It's definitely confusing. It's definitely tough to understand, but players don't want to do it. They don't want to be bubbled. They don't want to even be bubbled with their family in a hotel, and I don't think I would want to be either for 3 months, but do we want to play or not? We want to play. So if we do have more problems with COVID, I think that talking point might get louder, but the NFL is going to play, and they're pushing forward, and we got games today, and we're going. So, if they play, we bet. That's my philosophy, okay? If they play, we bet. and we will watch and we'll bet. Okay, so any props on the Browns and the Cowboys? Yeah. As I told you, just going to recap our player props. Ezekiel Elliott under 85.5 yards rushing at minus 112 is what I played. I play these at 0.25 units, by the way. Why would you ask that? Let me explain something. On Thursdays and Mondays, if you listen to the Daily Juice podcast, I give player props at 1 unit. But because I've got 7 plays going today with the NFL, and because prop bets are very much like daily fantasy, and I suck at daily fantasy, I know my weaknesses, okay? I've been around my own betting trends long enough. I've tracked my own betting trends enough to know that, look, props are hard. Props are not easy to hit, and it's one injury, it's one game plan that you didn't see, it's one guy not doing what he's supposed to, or a guy who gets taken out by the other team's defense, and your bet's dead, right? So I'm far more comfortable coming in with full units, betting on an entire team, than betting on one player, especially on a Sunday where I've got enough money committed into this where I don't need to go too crazy. So that's why I bet player props at 0.25 units. Whatever your unit is, a quarter of whatever your unit is. That's my philosophy. You can bet whatever you want. That's your money. It's your right. But that's why, if you wonder, why do I do that at 0.25? That's why I do that. Okay? That's why I bet 0.25 units. So, again, just to recap, if you're just joining us for our props, DK Metcalf touchdown, yes, against the Dolphins for Seattle at -125. Zeke Elliott under 85.5 yards rushing at -112. Stephon Diggs over 4.5 yards receiving at -140. Josh Jacobs over 19.5 yards receiving. Someone said they got it at 18.5, so they've got it at a better number. I got it at 19. They got it at 18 at -110. Ryan Fitzpatrick over 280.5 yards rushing against that bad Seattle defense at -118. And Jonathan Taylor rushing and receiving under 95.5 yards rushing at -112. That goes right back to my conversation with Dan Harris about what do we feel about the Bears and the Colts. And I think the Bears defense are going to key in on Jonathan Taylor, and they're going to take him away, and then it's up to somebody else to beat them. So we'll see what happens with that. Dan likes under 275.5 yards passing for Derek Carr, and he likes over 42.5 yards receiving for Marquise Brown against Washington here today for the Ravens. So those are our prop bets, Philip. Hopefully you got that. Let's see. Any other questions we can get into here from you guys? Devontae Freeman over under 8.5 yards receiving. Maybe. Yeah. Adrian Peterson over 47.5 yards rushing by volume alone. The Lions are going to force feed him. We've seen that, right? And against the Saints defense, I don't know. That's Saints defense is pretty good, and they're pretty angry right now with what's been happening to their team. So a lot of people have kind of ripped on them. It's a short week for them, though. But there's been a lot of people jumping off that Saints bandwagon, and so I don't know. That might be a little bit tough to me on that. Let's see. Lions +3. Okay, I don't hate on the Lions +3 here. Josh Jacobs is at DraftKings now at 18.5. I got it at 19.5 at DraftKings, so that's good. Oh no, actually, you know what? No, I got that at the Westgate here in Vegas. No. So yeah, so that makes sense. Regional bias. We talked about this on the stream before, but regional bias. You've got a Raider fan base betting everything on the Jacobs props. So I got over 19.5, 18.5 at DraftKings. There you go. So you have DraftKings a better number. So yeah, okay, that's not horrible. Ortiz says I took the Patriots +7 in a parlay. Is it just a push if the game gets canceled? Yeah, most likely that's what happens. But this is house rules now, all right? And you've heard me talk about house rules before. What your book, you all should do this. When you're bored one day, and let's say you've got 2 books you bet on a lot, every book is required by law to have their house rules on their app. Go find their house rules. Go read about what happens if you have a 2-leg parlay and 1-leg pushes. Go read about that. Go read what happens if you have a 5-team teaser and 1 pushes. Go read that, okay? Go read what they say. Most would go to a 4-teamer. If 1-leg pushes, they just drop it down. But if you have a 2-leg teaser and 1-leg pushes, what happens? For some, it's a no bet. It's just a refund. It's a push. For others, you cash. Some, you lose. Okay? Every book is different. So you got to be careful with that when it comes to where you are with house rules. Always know what your house rules are. And look, I know a lot of you guys aren't committing enough money, so it's like if you lose, it's not that big of a deal. But for some people, it's a big deal, all right? If you're betting $1,000 a play, it's a big deal to know the house rules as to whether or not you're going to cash or not. So it's always a big recommendation. You need to know what your house rules are. Very important with your house rules. Justin wants to know, what do you think of the Keenan Allen over 5.5 receptions? Allen is averaging 14.5 targets per game, 10 receptions per game with Herbert at quarterback. Yeah, I like Allen's props a lot. And look, I think they're going to have to throw the football. I think there's a good chance they're going to be down. So, and probably down a lot. I think the Bucs are going to have their way here. So, in terms of throwing the football, I like most of the props for the Chargers to go over. And again, Herbert rushing, someone asked that earlier, 22.5 yards rushing. Again, I don't know how much running he's going to do because they don't want him to run. But throwing the football, yeah, I mean, they're going to be down. And when we're looking at props, that's why I like the Ryan Fitzpatrick over 280 yards passing prop, because I think they're going to throw the football, because I think Seattle's going to go and score 30 today. So can the Dolphins match 30? We'll see. I mean, the Dolphins are going to see a defense in Seattle that's been torched by Dak Prescott and a bunch of other quarterbacks. So I think Ryan Fitzpatrick has a big day throwing the football, and I think they're down, so they're throwing. So same thing when it comes to, Keenan Allen. It's the Chargers are going to have to throw the football because they're going to be down. So those props 100% are in play. Chargers win today. Oh my. Win? Do the Chargers win today? No. I mean, I bet the Bucs and I teased the Bucs. So no, I disagree with you entirely. If that happens, I'm wrong on 2 bets today. And no, I don't think the Chargers win today. I think Brady and the Bucs get this done. I think, I like it -7. I teased down to 5. So yeah, I mean, if that happens, then I'm done. Herbert, 225 passing yards is an absolute must. Okay, I don't mind that. Oh, so this person says Chargers win and the Dolphins win today. Dolphins beat Seattle. I can believe the Dolphins beating Seattle at home before I can believe the Chargers beating the Bucs on the road. Okay, how about that? I'll buy that first. Dolphins to win and beat Seattle. Okay, I'll buy that. I can have a conversation and I can buy into that. I cannot buy into the Bucs losing at home to the Chargers today. 225 is a pretty good number. That's true. The fish line's coming down. Seattle in the public, 90%. Yes. Okay. So again, fading the public, right? What do we do? And I talked about this yesterday on Twitter at Sports Talk Matt's my Twitter account. And someone said to me, after a big bet came in on Auburn plus 7.5. So I added, which I do from time to time on the Twitter account. If you listen to the podcast, I'll add on Twitter #DailyJuice, so you can go search those. But I'll add, hey, Daily Juice audience, I'm adding. And I added 2 plays yesterday for a half a unit. Auburn plus 7.5 and Irene Aldana to win her fight. Aldana got destroyed in 5 rounds last night by Holly Holm. It was never a fight. Holm kicked the living crap out of her for 5 rounds. And it was just a wash. That was a horrible pick by me. And then the Auburn pick, when I saw the $150,000 come in at DraftKings, I think it was, or maybe with FanDuel, I forget who took it. $150K, Auburn plus 7.5. I tweeted, I don't like this. I was like, oh no, that stinks. And somebody asked me, why does that bother you? That $150,000 came in on Auburn plus 7.5. You guys have to realize the information that the sports book gives to us, gives to me, Patrick Everson who covers, to David Payne-Pern of ESPN, to the VSiN folks, right? If we're being told by PointsBets or DraftKings or FanDuel, they're telling us that they took this money, that's a public play. Okay? You might go, wait, Matt, $150,000, $500,000, $1 million. This is public money? Yes. These are not professionals. These are rich people with big money and are going to bet on it. But the reason why they publicize it is because the professionals do not get limits like that. They're not going to let a pro bet $150,000. They're not. They just don't. They limit them. So they have a limit, $2,000, $3,000, whatever it may be. Sometimes it's $2,000 a game, or it's, $1,000 a side, $500 a total. It just depends upon the book and the player, right? They don't publicize when a pro comes in and bets the limit 5 times. They don't publicize that. They publicize when someone comes from the square side and says, I want to bet 6 figures on this side. And then the book says, okay, it's marketing. Even if we lose, we're going to publicize it because the amount of publicity we're going to get is equivalent to maybe even more than what that wager might cost us. That's why the books publicize these bets. Mattress Mac, okay, comes in, bets $250,000 on the Astros or $1 million on the Astros or whatever it might be, right? And you might go, oh my gosh, he's a fan. You think Masters Mac has a guy in the back with an algorithm pumping it out that the Astros are going to win a game? No. He's betting because he's got more money than anything, and it's a great publicity for him, and it's a great job for him back in the day, last year in the World Series. He was hedging off of that situation with the Astros that he had going on for if the Astros won the World Series, everybody got free furniture. So he was just hedging on everything. So there's all reasons and rationale behind this. So you have to just figure this out in terms of the publicity and the things that you see that come out. So that's why when I saw that 7.5 on Auburn, that 150K, I was like, crap. That stinks. I was mad because I pretty much knew there was like a 65 to 75% chance I was on the wrong side. And I was on the wrong side. That was not the side to be on last night with Georgia and Auburn. So just always look at things a little bit crooked, okay? A little bit crooked when you see those big numbers come out, okay? You got to be careful when you see those, just took a $200,000 wager. If you're on that same side, your stomach should drop a little bit. You want to be on the opposite side of that. More often than not, you will win more long-term if you're on the opposite side of those six figures, highly publicized wagers. All right, one more quick thing from Alex. What do you think about the Derek Stevens Marlins ticket you tweeted about the other day? Look, Derek Stevens is a brilliant man. Anything Derek Stevens does, I'm going to follow. And if Derek Stevens likes the Marlins to win the World Series, is it an NL ticket for the pennant or the World Series? I forget which one he bet. But if that's what he likes, okay. Derek Stevens is a very, very smart man, a very successful gambler, a very good businessman. Circa is going to be an incredible 21-only facility when it opens up later in October. So, I mean, anything Derek Stevens does, pay attention to. How about that? That's my answer to that. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us here. Let me quickly recap all the picks and plays here before we wrap for the live stream. Teasing the Ravens to 8 and the Bucks to 0.5. That's our teaser of the day. That's 3. We're 3-0 on those teasers this year so far. Browns plus 4.5. Texans minus 3.5. Raiders plus 3.5. Eagles plus 7.5. Cardinals minus 3. And the Bucks minus 7. All at 1 unit for us. 7 plays, 1 full unit. We're taking DK all at 0.25 units. DK Metcalf touchdown, yes, at minus 125. See, you can see the little Tim Russer. You can go back and watch this. If you missed any part of it, you can always go back and watch it. Zeke Elliott under 85.5 yards rushing. Stephon Diggs over 4.5 receptions. Josh Jacobs over 19.5 yards receiving, but DraftKings has that at 18.5. Ryan Fitzpatrick over 280.5 yards passing at minus 118. And Jonathan Taylor rushing and receiving under 95.5 yards total at minus 112 for that. So those are our plays. That is the day. That is Sunday. That is our live stream. We are back tomorrow with 2 NFL games to pick, Patriots and the Chiefs and the Falcons and the Packers on Monday Night Football. 2 Monday Night Football games coming up tomorrow. Follow me during the day at Sports Talk Matt on Twitter. Make sure you have subscribed to this YouTube channel. A lot of you have, but if you haven't, make sure you subscribe to it so you know when we go live. And we're giving away a Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Do we have to say that? Helaire helmet, signed, autographed Chiefs helmet by the guy that's probably going to be the Rookie of the Year in the NFL. We're giving that away for anyone who goes and subscribes to our Apple Podcast or Stitcher for the Daily Juice and leaving a review. Screenshot the review, positive, negative, and go to bettingpros.com/juice. Put that screenshot in the form, and you are entered. If you've already done that, you are entered still to the contest to win. We pulled one name for the Miles Sanders Eagles helmet. John in Colorado won that. Congrats to him. But we've got that up for grabs. October 31st, we'll pull it away. But if you subscribe to the YouTube channel and leave a review and enter into the contest and you win, we're going to sweeten it. We got a bonus offer for you coming up. I'll tell you about it later as we get closer to the giveaway date. But you want to be subscribed to both the Daily Juice podcast, Apple Podcasts or Stitcher, but also the YouTube channel here for the Daily Juice live stream each and every Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific time. Best of luck. Enjoy the games. Let's have some fun. At Sports Talk Matt, and I'll talk to you tomorrow morning for another edition of the Daily Juice of bettingpros.com.